When addiction turns violent, what it does to love, trust, and the soul. There is a kind of addiction that does not stay hidden for long. It does not only destroy the one who carries it, it spills into rooms, into voices, into relationships. And when addiction becomes violent, something sacred is threatened. Today, we are not asking a simple question about bad habits. We are asking a harder one. What happens to love when addiction begins to harm instead of numb? What happens to trust when fear replaces safety? And is restoration still possible when damage has already been done? These are not theoretical questions. They are lived realities. Violent addiction does not begin with violence. It begins with escape, an attempt to silence pain, to regain control, to feel powerful when life feels overwhelming. But addiction, left unchecked, does not heal pain. It amplifies it. And when substances or compulsions take over the mind, restraint weakens, impulse replaces wisdom, reaction replaces reflection. This is when addiction crosses a dangerous line. Because violence is not just physical, it is emotional intimidation, verbal destruction, psychological fear, the slow erosion of safety. So ask yourself, when addiction enters a relationship, who is really being harmed? Is it only the addict or everyone connected to them? In many relationships affected by violent addiction, love does not disappear suddenly. It erodes gradually. Trust becomes fragile. Communication becomes defensive. Affection becomes cautious. A partner may begin to live in constant alertness, reading moods, predicting explosions, walking on emotional glass. And the addict, often unaware or unwilling to admit it, may justify behavior by blame, stress, provocation, circumstance, but responsibility is quietly slipping away. Here's a principle ancient wisdom has always taught, even without modern language. When self-control is lost, destruction follows. A life without restraint eventually becomes a danger, not just to others, but to itself. So ask this question honestly. Has addiction become an excuse for behavior that would never be tolerated otherwise? Violent addiction also distorts power. Instead of serving and protecting, the addict may dominate and intimidate. Instead of accountability, there is denial. Instead of repentance, there is rationalization. Yet deep inside, something else is happening. Shame. Shame hardens the heart. It resists correction. It fears exposure. And unchecked shame often expresses itself as anger. This is why violent addiction is not just a behavioral problem, it is a spiritual one, because it separates a person from truth, responsibility, and humility. And relationships cannot survive without those foundations. Now let us be clear. Love does not require enduring abuse. Commitment does not mean accepting harm. Forgiveness does not mean removing boundaries. Even ancient moral teaching makes this clear. Love is meant to protect life, not endanger it. Authority is meant to serve, not terrorize. Strength is measured by restraint, not force. So here's a question many struggle to ask. Can love exist where safety does not? The answer is difficult, but honest. Love cannot thrive in fear. However, this is not the end of the story, because transformation is possible. But it does not begin with promises. It begins with responsibility. For the one struggling with violent addiction, the path forward is clear, though not easy. First, acknowledgement. Not explanation, not justification. Acknowledgement. Second, separation from triggers. Anything that fuels loss of control must be confronted and removed. Third, submission to accountability. No one heals alone. Guidance, counsel, and correction are not weakness. They are wisdom. Fourth, rebuilding self-control. Ancient principles have always taught that mastery of the self is greater than domination of others. This is a process, and it requires humility. Now, for the partner affected by violent addiction, your safety matters, your voice matters, your boundaries matter. Hope does not mean waiting in silence. It means choosing wisdom over fear. Support does not mean enabling. Faith does not mean denial. You are not required to carry what you did not create, and restoration, if it comes, must come with change, not words. So ask yourself, is there evidence of repentance or only regret? Is there consistent effort or temporary remorse? True change always leaves a pattern. And now, the most important truth. Violent addiction does not have the final word. Many who once destroyed have learned to protect. Many who once harmed have learned to heal. Many who once lived without restraint have learned discipline. But this only happens when truth is faced fully, because light exposes, but it also heals. When accountability replaces secrecy, when humility replaces pride, when discipline replaces impulse, relationships can be rebuilt or wisely released. Both require courage. And here is the final question to leave with you. Is the goal to preserve the relationship at all costs, or to preserve life, dignity, and truth? Because only what is built on truth can truly last. This is the inner life, where we confront what destroys us so we can choose what restores us. Stay with us.